Have you ever wondered what porn addiction does to your brain? This question might seem odd, but it's a discussion we need to have. In our modern society, porn addiction has become an under-acknowledged issue that's more common than most realize. It's a silent epidemic, impacting millions, yet few understand its complex nature and its profound effects on our minds. Now let's talk about the brain, our magnificent control center. It's a complex organ, constantly adapting and changing in response to our experiences. It's this adaptability that's exploited by addictive behaviors such as porn addiction. Just like any other addiction, it rewires our brains, altering how we perceive and interact with the world. This is not just a moral conversation but a biological one. It's about understanding the science behind our actions and their consequences. So, are you ready for a deep dive into the world of neurology and addiction? Stay tuned as we delve into the science of what happens to your brain when you're addicted to pornography. To understand how porn addiction affects the brain, we first need to understand how addiction works. At its core, addiction is about the brain's reward system. This intricate network is responsible for making us feel good when we engage in activities that are beneficial for our survival, like eating, exercising, and socializing. It does this by releasing a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which creates a feeling of pleasure and satisfaction. But here's the twist. When we engage in activities that overstimulate this reward system, such as consuming drugs or watching pornography, our brains can start to rewire themselves. The overabundance of dopamine can cause the brain to adapt, reducing the impact of the neurotransmitter and making it harder for us to feel pleasure from other activities. This is the heart of addiction. The brain's reward system becomes so accustomed to the high levels of dopamine that it begins to crave it, leading us to seek out the activity or substance that caused the dopamine surge in the first place. So, how does this relate to porn addiction? Well, just like drugs, pornography can overstimulate the brain's reward system. The explicit content can cause the brain to release a flood of dopamine, creating an intense feeling of pleasure. Over time, as the brain adapts to these high dopamine levels, it can start to crave pornography, leading to compulsive behavior and a struggle to find pleasure in other activities. Moreover, the nature of the internet, with its endless supply of novel content, can exacerbate this issue. The constant novelty keeps the dopamine levels high, further reinforcing the addiction and making it even harder to break free. In essence, porn addiction can rewire the brain, altering the reward pathways and creating a vicious cycle of craving and compulsive behavior. It's not just about willpower or morality, it's about the fundamental workings of our brains. Now that we understand addiction, let's explore how porn addiction specifically alters your brain. So, how exactly does porn addiction rewire your brain? It's a question that may seem daunting, but the answer lies in understanding a bit of neuroscience and the nature of addiction. Addiction, in any form, is like a hijacker taking control of a plane. It seizes the brain's reward system, a part of our gray matter that's responsible for feeling pleasure. This system rewards us with a hit of dopamine, a feel-good chemical, when we engage in activities that are beneficial to our survival, like eating or socializing. Now imagine overloading this delicate system with a flood of dopamine every time you view pornography. The brain, in its wisdom, tries to restore balance by reducing its response to this dopamine overload. This is where desensitization begins. Over time, as the brain becomes more and more desensitized, it craves higher levels of dopamine to feel the same level of pleasure. This craving can drive a person to seek out more explicit or diverse forms of pornography, creating a vicious cycle of addiction. But the effects of pornography addiction don't stop at the brain. They can seep into real-life experiences, dulling the pleasure derived from them. Simple joys like a conversation with a friend, a beautiful sunset, or even a romantic relationship may no longer bring the same level of satisfaction. This is because the brain has been rewired to associate pleasure primarily with pornography, leaving real-world experiences in the dust. The impact on mental health can be substantial. Feelings of anxiety, depression, and loneliness can accompany this addiction, exacerbating the struggle. Relationships too can suffer, as the addicted person may begin to view their partner through the distorted lens of pornography, leading to unrealistic expectations and dissatisfaction in real-life intimacy. Understanding the negative impact of porn addiction on the brain is just the first step. The next step is recognizing if you're addicted. And that, my friends, takes us to our next scene. Stay tuned. How can you tell if you're addicted to porn? This question can be perplexing, especially when our society often downplays the severity of this issue. But the signs are there, if we're ready to recognize them. One significant indicator is the amount of time you spend viewing porn. If you find yourself investing an excessive portion of your day consistently, it might be time to question your habits. Another sign is the inability to stop, even when you've tried. It's like a tug of war between you and your own willpower, and it always seems like the addiction wins. Finally, observe the impact on your relationships and daily life. Has your work or study been affected? Are you withdrawing from loved ones, or are they complaining about your behavior? These signs are not to be taken lightly. If you're experiencing any of them, it's crucial to acknowledge the problem. If you recognize these signs in yourself, it's important to seek help. Recognizing an addiction is the first step towards recovery. You've taken that step, now it's time to navigate the road towards healing. Treatment options for porn addiction are diverse and tailored to individual needs. Professional help is key. Therapists and counselors trained in addiction recovery can provide you with strategies to control impulses and replace unhealthy habits with positive ones. Cognitive behavioral therapy, for instance, helps you understand your addiction, recognize triggers, and develop coping mechanisms. Support groups are also instrumental. Sharing your journey with others who are facing the same struggles can offer comfort, reduce feelings of isolation, and foster a sense of community. Lastly, don't underestimate the power of lifestyle changes. Regular exercise, a balanced diet, and adequate sleep can significantly improve your mental health. Remember, recovery is not a destination, but a journey. It's okay to stumble, it's okay to ask for help. Recovery is possible and help is available. Don't be afraid to reach out.